fourth graders, and welcome back. I am Mrs. Lamondo, here to bring you the media version of the story we heard last time all about Demeter and Persephone. Remember, the story of Demeter and Persephone gave us an understanding and an explanation as to why we have seasons here on Earth. So let's see if we can find anything similar or different in the media version of this story.
Demeter was the goddess in charge of the harvest, who caused all good things to grow. The wheat for bread, the flowers, the fruits and vegetables that fed all living things. Whenever Demeter came down from Mount Olympus to tend to her fields, she brought her young daughter, Persephone, along with her. Persephone was lovely and graceful and light as air. Wherever she danced, flowers sprung up at her feet, and birds followed in her path. She was happy and in harmony with all of nature. Well, almost all of nature. For deep down below the earth was a cold, gloomy world where living creatures did not belong. This was a world of shadows and death, ruled by the powerful Hades. Hades had all the servants and jewels a king could hope for, but the one thing he didn't have was a queen. It was time to do something about that. He'd heard of the beautiful Persephone. So, one fateful day when Persephone was picking flowers, as she often did, she strayed from her mother's side, which she usually didn't do. She wandered to the far end of the field because she'd spotted a particularly beautiful flower.
How lovely it is.
But just as she picked it, the ground began to tremble and shake and roar. Suddenly, the earth ripped open, and to her astonishment, out came a chariot pulled by 4 magnificent black horses driven by none other than Hades himself. Quickly, he swept up poor Persephone and carried her back down to his underground realm, leaving hardly a trace of what happened. Down in the underworld kingdom, Hades showered Persephone with sparkling jewels, robes, a crown, and her very own throne. But the cold, dark atmosphere depressed her. She became sad and silent, and no matter what was offered to her, she refused to eat. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Demeter frantically searched everywhere for her beloved daughter.
Persephone! Persephone!
As the days passed, Demeter's alarm turned to sadness, and she no longer felt the joyous urge to bring life into the world. Wherever she walked, the fields turned brown. Leaves fell from the trees. Ice covered the ground. And nothing grew. Now high up on Mount Olympus, the great Zeus, king of all the Greek gods, noticed what was happening down on Earth. He didn't like what he saw, and he had a bit of a temper.
Hermes!
Yes, Zeus. The swift Hermes was Zeus's official messenger, a kind of right-hand man who carried letters and reports back and forth between Mount Olympus and Earth.
Nothing is growing on Earth. I know Demeter misses her daughter, but we must maintain control.
There are rumors that your brother Hades may have kidnapped Persephone, and, well, let's just say that Demeter is none too happy.
What? This won't do. Things have to grow, people have to eat. Hermes, you're just going to have to pay a little visit to Hades and bring back Persephone. Right now!
Hermes delivered the news that Persephone was free to go.
If it says you can go, then you can go. But just to show that there's no hard feelings, have a piece of fruit, so you won't get tired on your journey home.
Hades offered Persephone a fruit called a pomegranate. Pomegranates have edible seeds which taste good, but in Hades' kingdom, there was a catch. Anyone who accepted his food was bound to his kingdom forever. Of course, Persephone didn't know this, and Hades didn't bother to tell her. He knew that she would now have to return to him. Demeter was overjoyed to have her daughter back. And once again the fields sprouted wheat, the flowers bloomed, the birds sang. It looked as if everything was just as it had always been, except for one single change, that pomegranate. When Persephone told her mother that she had eaten seeds from the fruit of the underworld, Demeter became saddened all over again, for she knew that her daughter must go back to Hades. Zeus knew that Demeter would never get over the loss of Persephone, yet the rule must be obeyed. But you don't get to be king of the gods without knowing how to find some pretty creative solutions.
Persephone has to go back, but not forever. Just for part of the year. 1 month for every seed she ate. I promise she'll return to you every year.
And that's how, according to the myth, the change of seasons came to be. Every year, when it was time for Persephone to return to Hades, Demeter missed her so much that the wind turned cold, the plants died, the birds flew away, and it was winter again. But, as Zeus promised, Persephone did return every year to her mother. And when she did, the flowers blossomed, the trees bore fruit, the wheat grew, and the whole world sang with joy, because it was glorious springtime once again.
Wow, I saw a lot of similarities and differences within that version of Demeter and Persephone. Remember, sometimes we need to compromise in difficult situations. Let's check out our Google form that we will be completing about Demeter and Persephone, comparing and contrasting our text with our media. So, of course, your name. First one, in both the text and the media, Demeter is goddess of what? The underworld, the harvest, the seasons. In both the text and the media, what action happened before Hades came up from the underworld and took Persephone? Persephone was playing in the fields. Persephone and Demeter were dancing near the apple trees. Persephone picked an unusual flower. In both the text and the media, Demeter was sad when Persephone was taken to the underworld. What happened because she was sad? The earth became cold, plants died, and nothing grew. Demeter went to beg Zeus for help. Summer came to earth. In both the text and the media, who did Zeus send to the underworld to ask Hades to return Persephone to earth? Hermes, Demeter, himself. In both the text and the media, what did Persephone eat in the underworld? Pear, pomegranate, apple. And lastly, in the media, Zeus orders that Persephone return to the underworld for 6 months. Who orders that in the text? Demeter Hermes, or Hades. All right, fourth graders, that's all for today. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to check in with your teacher. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.